Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for May 14th, 2019. This is your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Savranti. Give him a follow at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Right Side VP. Teddy, a little bit of business to handle this week. Let's not get caught up in this. Saturday, the Preakness Stakes. And SBRodds.com, sportsbookreview.com has a special for you, Teddy. If you don't want to miss out on this, use code BOVPS20 for Bovada. Dates May through 13th. You will be eligible from the date of sign up, Teddy. You have 7 days to place a $20 wager for free on Bovada. As we always say here, Teddy, if it's free, it's me. You can't beat that. Horse race, take a long shot, knock $20 down. You can't lose.
I'm with you. And look, all right, that betting show is free. It's always going to be free. All that being said, there are costs associated with it. So we need you guys, if you like this show, to sign up for some of this stuff, please. Let's give that promo code one more time. $20, free wagers from Bovada this weekend. What's that promo code, Donnie?
Yep, code BOVPS20. And also probably right now while we're doing this in production, there will be a link below there. Just hit the link, sign up, support sportsbookreview.com. And Teddy, you want to support sportsbookreview.com's That Betting Show? Well, listen in here for the next 20 minutes here. Let's give you some good news to talk about. Hot topics of the day. Teddy, those Astros bats stay in fuego going into Detroit. They blast 4 more home runs on Monday. You know what that makes it, Teddy? Racks up another win, 9 out of 10, but also 34 runs in 3 games. They're getting hot.
Oh, they're getting real hot. Of course, a tough, in fact, brutal beat for underbettors. Well, not the only one last night, but one of several. And when we talk about MLB bad beats, mostly we're talking unders. You know, Astros plated 3 runs in the 9th. To get that game over 8.5. But we're talking about an Astros team that is now 9-1 in their last 10 games. All 9 of those wins cashed on the run lines 6 times during that span. They've scored 8 runs or more. The Astros are number 1 in every category. OPS, home runs. No, actually, Seattle's ahead of them in home runs. OPS, batting average, on-base percentage, et cetera, on and on down the line. They're 1 or 2 literally in every category. And the books taking Astros run line money just about every day. They did not enjoy another Houston blowout win last night because remember, the difference in baseball between football and basketball, no point spreads. They can never price you out of a winner in MLB like they can in NBA or college hoops or NFL or college football, but they will make you lay a premium to back Houston. Astros taking a lot of support in the markets because of this red-hot run.
Yeah, you're right, Teddy. Three runs in the top of the 9th inning to push that over the posted total of 8.5. Let's also not forget the Houston Astros, Teddy, tied for the Major League lead with 27 wins with those Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll keep it rolling a little bit here, and if you want to talk some bad beats, I'll give you one that I like, Teddy. And again, I always preface this by saying I'm a little bit older than some of the generation that's actually watching this video right now. I did fall asleep, and I was down 4-1 with a ticket in my back pocket for the Mariners and woke up to jubilation, Teddy, as we go extra innings. Now, if you had a ticket for the Oakland Athletics, didn't work out too well. If you sat on an under and you watched a 2-1 game go into the 8th inning, you were saying, man, where do I cash this ticket in? Not so fast, Teddy.
Yeah, extra innings are where unders go to die, just like overtime in football or basketball. Extra innings in baseball, you got to sweat these out. And, of course, it was 1 strike from A's and under. It was probably 1 inch, maybe a couple of inches, from the foul ball on the double that gave Seattle their chance. And let's say this, no ill effects for Fires after that 130-pitch no-no. But Oakland now 5-14 on the highway. That's worse than the American League. They hit 5 home runs last night, all solo shots. They didn't win the game.
No, it was so interesting because you wake up and you see the highlights or you scroll through Twitter and see exactly what happened. You're right. Game of inches down to your last outs. 3-run blast. I mean, also, if you take a look at that game on its whole, Teddy, because the one thing I liked about the Seattle Mariners wasn't so much about Kikuchi pitching and the matchup against Oakland. It was the fact that Fires, his numbers on the season, but also throwing 130 pitches. And right off the bat, Teddy, Haniger goes deep. I'm like, boy, they're going to hammer Fires. He settled in, and boy, they put out a miracle late. But that's the best thing about Major League Baseball. If you get those winning sides, there's no time limit. You can always come back. As long as you're down to your last out, you have a shot, and you saw that go out last night. Talk about having a shot, Teddy. Dreams are built tonight in the NBA. The lottery is out here. Just looking at DraftKings on the East Coast here out of New Jersey, the Cavaliers plus 600, the Knicks plus 600, Phoenix plus 600. No, they're not the odds to win the NBA title. They're the odds to win the ping pong lottery tonight, Teddy.
Yeah, and let me make this clear. If you guys like betting on coin flips, bet on coin flips. Just try not to lay 150 on each side. Okay. You want to bet on the lottery? Okay, bet on the lottery. But there are betting odds, obviously, as you mentioned, plus 600. The odds of each team getting each pick is fixed mathematically. Fixed. Okay. There's no nuance here. Hint. These are not positive expectation wagers. You want action? You got to have action? Get action on the ping pong balls. Is there any pro in Las Vegas or anywhere that's going to be betting on this? Absolutely not. You're not getting the best of it at any point in any way, shape, or form. So lottery, fun to watch, fun to consider. As a wagering element, leave it alone, please.
Yeah, Teddy, maybe the wise guys had a little bit more edge in the 80s when you can actually freeze envelopes and get somebody to pick those out of a fishbowl as opposed to, going back behind the scenes with accounting firms and thousands of fake ping pong balls getting after it. It is fun to talk about, but we'll see the Zion sweepstakes and where it leads tonight. But let's talk a little bit of the National Football League, those Green Bay Packers 2019, as we do each and every day here on SBRodds.com's That Betting Show, preview an NFL football team getting you ready for the season here. They sit at 20-1 to win the 2019 championship, 10-1, Teddy, to win the NFC, and those Packers team total this year set at 9. Finished up 2018 6-9-1, but due in a large part because their quarterback wasn't healthy all season long. They load up once again, Teddy, this year in the NFL draft for 2019 and grabbed Gary, the defensive end out of Michigan, and Savage, the safety, both in the first round. And the one thing that we do like to look in the NFL, Teddy, you're only as good as where your quarterback's going to take you. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, they'll be tough, but we've been talking about it all week long when previewing the NFC North. It's going to be a tough division. These teams are going to run up against each other quite a bit during the season. We'll see if those Packers can get over those 9 wins.
Sure. And we start with Green Bay, where we're going to look at what happened last year. Last year, the Packers' statistical profile was pretty good. They outgained opponents by 0.3 yards per play. They outrushed their opponents by 0.7 yards per rush. Green Bay had a good running game last year. Aaron Rodgers' QB rating of 98. Opposing teams had a QB rating of 100, which isn't very good defensively. But Rodgers was fine. Net 0 turnovers. It wasn't turnovers that doomed them last year. They had a notably easier than average schedule a year ago. And still finished with a very disappointing campaign. The schedule this year near league average. You have a new head coach in Matt LaFleur. LaFleur has an offensive scheme. He's from the Mike Shanahan coaching school. He wants to run the football first. And when we look at the additions that this team made to the defensive side of the ball, Mike Pettine's been there now, this will be his 3rd year. He's got his guys in place. When you look at what they did and talk about in the draft and bringing Gary in the first round and a couple of impact players on defense. In free agency, you bring in Zadarius Smith, Adrian Amos, Preston Smith. 3 long-term to each of them, 4-year deals, each of them in the 30, 40, 50, $60 million range. 3 big-name guys to shore up that defense, plus the addition of the draft choices, plus the addition of Pettin, Pettin having his guys in place, plus the addition of LaFleur, who wants to run first. Green Bay is going to be an under team this year, not under season win totals, under game by game. If we see Packers totals in the upper 40s and low 50s to open up the season, this team looks pretty good defensively. And offensively, obviously you have Aaron Rodgers. The offensive line still has question marks all over the place. I know they brought in Billy Turner. I'm not sure Billy Turner is going to be the answer, to solving all the woes that Rodgers was under pressure constantly last year. And the receiving core for Green Bay, question marks everywhere. I don't know who Rodgers is going to throw the ball to. It's going to be guys who step up in training camp. And given the chemistry issues between Rodgers and the young receivers last year in training camp, that's a question. So game in, game out, I think Green Bay has all the makings of a team that's going to be an under squad. They're going to be playing games 20-17, not 31-28.
Teddy, let's also not forget opening night in the NFL to celebrate their 100th anniversary. The Packers and the Bears are going to tee it up there. Current line sitting right now at SBRodds.com plus 3.5 the Packers getting the points. Over under at 46. We'll see it. And it's getting close. It's so close. I know, folks, it's only May. We're excited for football season. We'll carry this all the way through the summer. Your segment number 2, overnight line movers. SBRodds.com, the best place on the internet to check out every single line move. Let's take a look at one of the games tonight. The Brewers looking to bounce back tonight. If you looked at the game last night, Teddy, they left the entire team on base, plus me and you. Phillies squeak out a win 7-4 last night. Now the Brewers and the Phillies go up it again tonight. And how about this, Teddy? Brewers flipping to a favorite after the Phillies opened up as a favorite earlier today. 8.5 total. Woodruff versus Eichhoff.
And I was surprised with it because Eichhoff has pitched really well. Coming off a gem in his he's coming off a gem his last 3 starts, giving up 1 run his last 20 innings. Gabe Kapler, he pitches with a fearlessness. Any pitch, any count, secondary pitches behind in the count. He'll throw a slider outside of the zone when he's confident he'll get a swing, and he'll fill it up too. So I was really surprised to see the money coming against him. However, there's some love for Woodruff. Remember, Woodruff, first 5 starts, he had a 5.81 ERA. Since that time, he's been dynamite, coming off a dominant efforts, 4 hits, 1 run over 6 innings, striking out a career 9 against the Nats last time, 0 walks. He struck out at least 6 batters in each of his last 7 starts. The markets love that. And it's a Brewers team that's now lost 3 in a row, a Phillies team that's won 3 in a row. These aren't teams that the markets are expecting extended losing or winning streaks from right now. I'm not shocked to see the Brewers money, although Eichhoff appeared to be a guy that the bettors liked, the markets really liked early on.
Yeah, rain-delayed game last night, Teddy. Sloppy night altogether. Had some rains, had some windy conditions, scored some runs. Tonight, a little bit of similar conditions there. Weather last night in that high 40s today, maybe around 52, 53 degrees. But the wind, however, Teddy, is blowing in about 10 miles an hour. We'll see how that affects the game. Runs, and more runs. Those Houston Astros are getting right back at it. Taking a look at a little bit of the weather report, Teddy. In Detroit, 68 degrees, wind blowing out 7 miles an hour. Miley versus Carpenter. Tigers, heavy dog, plus 185. Over-under jumps a full point, Teddy, or a full run, I should say, 9.5 to 10.5.
Yeah, I mean, the markets don't like Miley. They never like Miley. We talk about money coming against Miley pretty consistently. Carpenter's MLB debut was downright ugly. The Astros have scored 34 runs their last 3 games. They've scored 8 or more 6 times their last 10. No, I'm not surprised with the wind blowing out on a warm day in Detroit that we've seen nothing but over money between the Tigers and the Astros.
Battle of Florida tonight, Teddy. Caleb Smith on the mound for the Marlins, one of the seemingly only backable guys that you can back with those Miami Marlins. And we see the lines open up here at SBRodds.com, 144, 150. Now shifting back, Teddy. Pinnacle Offshore showing a minus 126. Chris, a minus 131. Intertops, a minus 130, despite a large portion of the bets coming in on those Tampa Bay Rays. As we said, opened up at around 150, sitting in that 120 range. Morton versus Smith down in that gigantic empty ballpark in Miami.
Yeah, very empty ballpark. And, of course, we talk about the typical profile of a pitcher that's going to attract a lot of attention. It's young guys out of a big school. They're coming out of high school, 20, 21, 22 years old. Those are the pitchers that get the most love in the markets. Caleb Smith wasn't like that. He's 27 years old. It's only his second full season in the big leagues. But the markets are really paying attention to this guy right now. 14th round pick out of Sam Houston State. All right. Slowly worked his way through the minors. All right, none of this indicates ace potential. Last 5 starts, he's got a .42 ERA, 41 strikeouts, and 9 walks in 31 innings. Okay, struck out a career-high 11 in his last start, 2 runs and 6 2/3 against the Cubs. Dynamite, And Don Mattingly afterwards, it was good to see Caleb pitch like that. He'd been having trouble in cold weather. Well, no cold weather here. Worth noting that this is the first time all season that Smith will be going on 6 days of rest. He was scheduled to start on Sunday, but the game against the Mets was rained out. And then, obviously, they didn't play yesterday. Worth noting, if you want Smith, maybe you look at the under as well. The Marlins scoring just 2.3 runs per game in May, dead last in MLB.
Yeah, talking about a game today we just talked about, with Houston and Detroit, a 10.5 over-under. You're right, a 6.5 line total for that game with the Marlins and the Tampa Bay Rays. We'll see what takes place. Watch what you bet right here on That Betting Show tonight. The association is back in action. Trailblazers, Warriors. Warriors favored by 7.5, total of 220.5, which rose a little bit this morning. Moneyline split plus 270, minus 330. 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight from Oracle. Blazers 51-43 against the number in the season. The Warriors 40-53 against the number. Keep in mind also out there if you're betting this game, no Kevin Durant for this game. At least looks like game 2 he's probably going to miss as well. And Boogie Cousins not scheduled to return just yet. Should be a good one out there, but obviously heavy priced series favorite Warriors. Heavy favorite tonight as well.
Sure. And, of course, Sir Charles says the Blazers are going to win the series. And listening to some of his arguments, they make a little bit of sense. We have a Golden State team that is clearly dealing with fatigue issues. And I know that, okay, they've been off since, Saturday. Nonetheless, when you look at the minutes that every key Warrior has played this postseason, much greater than they have in the recent postseasons. And they've been tested earlier in the playoffs. 6 rounds against the Clips. 6 games against the Clips. 6 games against the Rockets. This is not a healthy team. They're not a deep team. And I worry about them being gassed. I really do. And, of course, when you look at Portland, boy, when you look at Damian, Lillard was a star. He was a superstar. This year, in this postseason, he's morphing into that guy, Draymond Green. Quote, he can score the ball with the best of them. Dame has a chip on his shoulder. Has since the day he walked into this league. He plays like a guy from Oakland with a chip on his shoulder, a guy who's been doubted forever. Worth noting, Lillard scored more points against the Warriors than any team, than any other player during the regular season. Worth noting, Portland won twice against Golden State, including once on this floor. But of course, we talk about the injury situation for Portland. Kanter's got the separated shoulder. He's not going to be. He's going to try to play. He's not going to be 100%. Rodney Hood, who was huge in their last series, just had an MRI in his knee, came back negative. Quote, they checked my knee and everything's stable. Major relief. Hopefully the pain goes down. I'm going to try to shoot for Tuesday if possible. Now, you look at some of the projections. All right. BPI says Golden State's got a 71% chance to win. 538.com, another one of the math, really good math site, 89% chance to advance. Last 45 games of the season, Blazers went 32-13. That's a 58-win pace. They were plus 6.8 in scoring margin, and they played every bit that well in the postseason. Maybe Sir Charles is right. Maybe Portland does have a chance in this series. I wouldn't bet against them in game one.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a kind of interesting dynamic there, Teddy, that's working. The Warriors, where they went down to Houston almost, as an underdog role. Oh, my goodness, there's no shot you can win without Kevin Durant. You pull off the win. Now you're expected to win back at home. We've seen them struggle in the playoffs so far at home. We'll see what takes place tonight. But looking at some aces, Teddy, future ace versus current ace. Good one down there if we take a look at the Padres and the Dodgers. Dodgers favored at minus 159, a total of 7. Padres are 22-19 on the season. The Dodgers are 27-16, Major League leading 27th win. If we take a look, Paddock was absolutely outrageous versus the Mets last time out, Teddy. 7 2/3 innings, 11 Ks, and a shutout. Kershaw's last 2 starts, giving up 4 earned runs, 3 earned runs, so maybe a little bit gettable here, but I'm looking forward to it. You have a pitcher's ballpark with 2 stone-cold studs on the mound. Should be a good one out in Chavez Ravine.
Well, sure. I mean, the series these guys played earlier this month was unbelievable. With the Dodgers with 2 come-from-behind wins, and then the Padres walking it off on a grand slam in the finale. That was a fun series, and this one may be every bit as fun. You talk about Paddock. Padres are 6-1 in his outings. I'm not betting against him. You look what he did against the Mets last time. They passed the 90-pitch mark for the first round, struck out 11 batters, 7 2/3 innings. No interest in betting against Paddock. And, Padres are going to take these games very, very seriously against L.A. Dodgers, of course, are 5-0 in Kershaw's starts this year, but their offense has kind of cooled off a little bit. And in fact, they didn't get a hit with a runner in scoring position all weekend until the Corey Seager's grand slam in the 8th inning of the series finale on Sunday, when the Dodgers bats aren't going. And I'm telling you, Kershaw reinventing himself a little bit. He's still priced as the ace. He's still really good. I'm not convinced he's the better of these 2 starters, and I will not lay a price with the Dodgers in this ballgame.
One more game in Major League Baseball to take a look at tonight, Teddy. The Cardinals travel to Hotlanta on Tuesday. The Cardinals versus the Braves. The total's at 9. And looking at SBRodds.com right now, St. Louis favored anywhere between minus 125 to minus 30, depending on where you're shopping at this point. 7:20 start tonight. MLB extra innings from SunTrust Park in Atlanta. Cardinals are 22-19 on the season. Braves are 21-20. Could we get some runs here? Taking a look at Fulton Avich's last start, Teddy. 6 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. Flaherty went 5 innings his last time out, gave up 3 earned runs, and previous start before that 3 earned runs as well. Should be a decent one down in Atlanta tonight, Teddy, as the 3rd game of our triple header.
Yeah, it certainly has the potential to be a high-scoring affair. We are talking about 2 potent lineups, although St. Louis has been really hit or miss. They score 17 one game, and then 2 and 1, and then 10 more. The Cardinals have been putting hits together, not necessarily doing it every single night. They've had a bunch of high-output games. Atlanta's kind of the same way, where there's been, more than their fair share of games where they're approaching or exceeding the total all by themselves, but also plenty of games in which the Braves lineup has been stymied. You're talking about Fulton A, which is the guy that looked like an ace, like a number 1 starter last year. He had elbow problems in spring training, started the year on the DL. 3 starts so far, all 3 have been ugly. All 3 have thrown over the total. He's got a terrible track record against St. Louis, an 8.06 ERA against them. Flaherty doesn't have a real good track record against the Braves. He's someone that obviously has shown signs as well of being elite. And Atlanta expected to get Freddie Freeman back in the lineup today. He missed his last game with a head cold, set out for the first time all year. That's an extra bet for the Braves in this one, a pretty big bet for an Atlanta team that can use it. No surprise we've seen at least a little bit of over money in this one. I am surprised how much Cardinals money we've seen. Fulton Awitz, well, there's potential for him, even though so far he hasn't lived up to it in 2019.
Yeah, Teddy, Fulton Awitz, 5 home runs in his last 16 innings. We'll see if he can get that back on track down in Atlanta. Off the mic segment tonight, Teddy. I always like to hit this up because the exit interviews, the rumor mills, depending on what team you're a fan of, you're going to see them pop up on SportsCenter. And they were running rampant in Philadelphia yesterday. Brett Brown announced he's back. Adrian Wojnarowski tweets that out. Then you see the rumor reel fired up now. All of a sudden, Ben Simmons straight up for LeBron James. Chris Broussard says, hey, why don't you send Ben Simmons to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul? And one of my more favorite things tomorrow morning, Teddy, that we'll be sure to preview here is the conspiracy theories that are going to run wild over who wins the ping pong ball chase tonight. It doesn't even matter, Teddy, who wins. The conspiracy theorists will be ready to pounce.
As they should be. That's what's fun about this stuff is you can't prove anything, so you can say whatever you want. Knock yourself out. Chris Broussard's a guy that I tend to have some respect for. I read what he writes. The concept of Philadelphia trading Ben Simmons for Chris Paul is the single dumbest idea that I've ever heard in my life. Oh, I know, I probably heard some dumber. But it's like, did you really say that? Are you that desperate for headlines right now that you're going to come up with a trade that, gee, you think the Rockets would make that trade? In a New York minute. You think Philly wants that trade? Not even maybe. I mean, it's like, all right, I'm going to trade, let's trade LeBron and the rest of the Lakers for Josh Jackson or something. I mean, no. Chris Paul was a name. Chris Paul, in terms of like what he's going to do for the next 5 years versus Ben Simmons, it's a not even maybe. That's a dumb idea. Find something else to write about. You're writing about stupidity.
Chris Paul making $41 million a year next year, Teddy. That's right in your tax bracket right there. So maybe you can understand why this trade might work out here. PGA Championship coming up a little bit later this week here, right here on Long Island on the East Coast. We'll be able to preview that and much, much more here on SportsbookReview.com's That Betting Show. Well, thank you for tuning in today, May 14th, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Cibrianti. Give him a follow once again on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Right Side VP. Cash those tickets tonight with the Warriors. And tomorrow, get ready for those conspiracy theories. Have a good night.